unforgiving.
B, Mark?
The first time I heard about the project, it was sent to me, and I read it and I fell in love with it. I've been a fan of Diablo Cody's for a long time.
Well, how good is that? How good does that take, huh?
Yeah. I think his inability to speak was what really excited me just technically about playing Creature. And I knew it would be a heavy physical role, so I worked with a mime in Los Angeles for about 3-4 months. I would travel back and forth between Vancouver and LA, and I'd have little periods there, and then when we got on our hiatus in between the show that I'm filming, I worked every day with him for about a month and a half straight. Some things that Zelda and Diablo and I had talked about were that he was a pianist, so he was a professional pianist. He had some experience fencing. He was a lover, he was a big romantic. He died young, clearly, because when he comes back to life, he's young. He has some wounds that we had sort of addressed were that at some point in his life, he took his own life.
Well, I really love Taffy because she's such a fun character to play. She's very much like me. She's such a sweetheart. She's genuinely nice to everybody, but also she can't help the fact that she is her mother's child, and so there are instances where she talks a bit too much or doesn't say the right thing sometimes, but it's not coming from a place of malice intent. It's just that this is what she grew up hearing, and this is like the kind of mindset that she grew up around, and so sometimes it comes out, but she doesn't mean it in a mean way.
I love New Orleans. I came here for the first time about 3 years ago to film a movie, and I fell in love with the city. I think it's interesting. I think from what I have traveled of a lot of the continental U.S., a lot of it is pretty homogenous and can become, you know, this endless carnival of Rite Aids and strip malls. And New Orleans is one of those real gems of a city within the United States that has a very obvious cultural fingerprint. It's got this robust music scene, robust art scene, incredible food culture. It's a fully integrated city. It stays with you.
The thing is, I only ever got to work with him in one scene, which was a pretty crazy scene that we shot. But in that short period of time, I got to see like how professional he is at what he does. For such a young man, he is such a veteran in this industry, I would say. He started working when he was a baby, and that shows like all the experience that he's been through. He's constantly making sure that everybody is comfortable on set, that everybody is prepared, and he also knows how to set the tone and the energy in the room, which is very important from a lead. And offset, behind the scenes, he's such a nice and humble guy. The whole time, like I said earlier, he was really trying to help me warm up to everybody and try to get me to talk, which I really appreciated about him, because it can be very nerve-wracking working with, you know, such big celebrities, such big names in the industry, and he never made me feel intimidated by him. Taffy and Lisa. So the thing is, there is a lot of context behind them because they are just new sisters. They grew up in different households, different upbringings, and are two completely different people. But the way that it is showcased or presented in the movie is in a very one-dimensional way, where like you have like the popular, cool sister that everybody sees as perfect, and then you have like the nerdy, quiet sister who everybody thinks is like a bit of a nuisance. But behind that, there's like such deeper context as to what they've experienced in their personal lives that makes them them, and their relationship is like Taffy clearly sees, like, she clearly understands what Lisa's been through, and she's very empathetic about that. But Lisa has gone through so much that I feel like she's kind of just shut herself out from the world and is not welcoming of anybody that wants to, you know, really be there for her and love her. And even though Taffy is constantly trying to show her that, it's just hard to break through because she just feels like everybody's out to get her, or everybody just doesn't understand her. And that's what makes it so magical, I think, because it's very realistic, I would say. For people who have experienced having step siblings, it is very hard to like penetrate through the emotional walls, emotional barriers, I would say. And I guess that's really what this movie showcases.